Welcome to another edition of Community Conversations. I'm Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner, and today joining me is John Daniels, who will chair the Solid Waste Steering Committee for our next step in solid waste, What's Next. So thank you for joining us today, John.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I thought we could start off by maybe having you share with our listening audience, our viewers, a little bit about yourself, how you came to Frederick, and why you're maybe interested in being involved in county government.
Yes, I'd be happy to share with you, and I may start at the present and work back because it's easier to remember.
Okay.
We came to Frederick in 2008, and in 2008, in your tenure as president of the Board of County Commissioners, you were moving to a single-stream recycling system, which is what sparked my interest in solid waste. So I'll go to the beginning. I joined the Navy right out of high school. In my first 3 days in boot camp, my exposure was to solid waste. I cleaned garbage cans for about 3 days, and I graduated to cleaning dumpsters, and I never wanted to see that again. So I spent a career in the Navy, 24 years, went into the private sector, something totally different, into a marine products distribution and installation business, which I did for 10 years. And then my wife and I decided to take a sabbatical on our sailboat, which we did for another 10 years. When the kids got out of college and started making babies, we wanted to be close to them, and they were in Washington, D.C. and Silver Spring. So Frederick was our logical choice. It's how we ended up here, and we're not going anywhere. The solid waste issue, as I talked about in the beginning, was we were just moving in the county to a single stream recycling, and having been on a boat for 10 years, I didn't know a lot about single stream recycling, and I was becoming involved in the city of Frederick and their waste issues, and single stream recycling looked to me like a really good tool for the city to save money because it simply costs less to tip recyclables than it did to tip garbage. Well, it's still trying to get traction, but it still saves money. If we move that stuff from the garbage can to the recycling can, it saves the taxpayer money, simple as that. So that's where I come from. That's how I got into the solid waste. I've been studying solid waste since 2008. And I'm really happy to be on this group, which is a group that's going to be working with the residents, which I think you're going to give us a little explanation of how that works. But I'm really excited about taking this to the people.
Well, now, weren't you involved in a committee with the city of Frederick related to solid waste?
Thank you for reminding me. I was, actually, in the 2009 election when Mayor McClement was elected. His transition team were taking comments, and I thought that a committee in the city to look at those recycling and solid waste issues we had would be appropriate. He agreed. He appointed a committee. I chaired that committee. We made our report in 2011. And some of those initiatives that we brought up have been implemented with considerable savings to the city. The biggest being the reducing our garbage pickup from 2 days a week to 1 day a week.
Okay.
And we also now have a sustainability coordinator, which we needed. So some of those initiatives have moved forward. Some of them have stalled.
Right.
I'm hoping that this process, this facilitated process, which will include the municipalities, will kind of kickstart some of that.
Okay. Well, thanks for that background. I really appreciate your community involvement, and I'm really pleased that you decided to chair the steering committee associated with this project, because I think you bring a lot of background from your military experience, your work experience, your ability to get things done, and also I think you're very balanced, a very good listener, and will really help to make sure the process moves forward, but that everybody's voice is heard. And that's really important to me. So, as you know, the Waste to Energy project was very controversial in Frederick County. And there were a lot of people with strong opinions, very passionate opinions on one side or the other of that issue. So when Waste to Energy was put to bed and it was decided that it was not a viable option for Frederick County, a lot of people asked, what's next? So I gave a lot of thought to how to best move forward with the next steps. And I had talked with the Sustainability Commission that we have in Frederick County government, and there were members who were interested in providing some leadership role on what's next. Of course, we also have a solid waste advisory committee called SWAC, and they were also interested in taking a leadership role in what's next. Then we had interested citizens who were on one side or the other of the waste energy debate who had become engaged in that, and they wanted to be a part of what's next. So I decided, after meeting with staff and talking with a variety of other people, that I thought it would be a good idea to hire a facilitator and to have a facilitated public process so that we could have a fair and imbalanced way to go out to the public, to engage them in the discussion, to hold community meetings or brainstorming sessions around the county, to gather ideas and then shortlist them for what might work here and what we might want to study further. But I thought that group should have a steering committee to really help make the decisions at the decision points. You know, first and foremost, who do we hire to do this?
Right.
And then after we go through the community meetings to synthesize that information, which the consultant will then summarize for everybody as to what's feasible, what can get permitted, what could work here, and to then shortlist those ideas and for further evaluation. And I do expect that we'll come up with a list of ideas, that it's not going to be one single solution, but a multitude of solutions that work together in the long run. So again, so after hiring this facilitator and having this facilitated process, which I will think will be most fair, impartial, and unbiased, take out some of the concerns some of the public has had about various people who have been involved in the debate, and that it could be guided by the steering committee. So the steering committee has 2 members from Solid Waste Advisory Committee, 2 members from Sustainability, and then some other interested people who are out there in the community. So I really wanted to come up with a balanced committee. So I'm very pleased that you chose to and agreed to serve on the steering committee and be its chair. So do you want to share your thoughts on how this might work and how we might best approach our brainstorming sessions and keeping people involved in a positive way?
Sure. The brainstorming sessions, to me, are the key to making whatever it is we choose or move forward with to work. Without engaging the public and without getting their buy-in, we see what happens. You know, the public really are interested in having their voice heard. And not only having their voice heard, but feeling comfortable while that voice is heard, and then having feedback on what they've submitted. It's one thing to stand at a microphone and talk for 3 minutes and your words go into a blank space and you never hear your words again. My intention with this committee is that those words aren't going into a blank hole, that those words will be recorded and we will address those recommendations and concerns in a way that engages the community. They have to be comfortable, they have to be engaged, and it has to be fun. And that's what we're looking for. And I'm really excited about starting our talking process within the committee about what we want that to look like, so that when the consultant is chosen, that we have a direction that we would like to see that process take place. So I'm looking forward to that facilitated process, engaging the people and identifying the solutions and giving the county the tools they need to make a decision on long-term strategies for dealing with our solid waste.
I do think, we'll have to do a lot of advertising and, really go to different areas of the county to try to make sure that we have an opportunity for people to come out and talk. And I think a big decision point for me and for the steering committee will really be in that short list, because we're really going to have a public process associated with that so that we can make sure people understand why some things stayed on the list and why some things didn't. Right. And one of those things could be, feasibility in terms of cost, or it could be that we can't get it permitted.
Exactly.
And so And another area that I think will potentially be a challenge is to have a conversation about resource recovery parks, because I think the definition is so broad. Some people have really just taken that name and put it on their landfill, and it's really not what others would consider to be a resource recovery park. So I don't know what your thoughts are on resource recovery parks, but some people will say that's the solution, and when you ask them what it is, you'll get 10 different answers.
I'm reluctant at this stage of the process to speculate on what solution will work.
Right.
I've heard the resource recovery park plan. I've visited resource recovery parks. I'm in contact with one that's proposed in Alachua, Florida, that's really been struggling trying to get underway. The concept is good, and there are pieces of that we are already doing at our landfill, right. By the way. For a lot of people really don't understand, and it's not because they haven't asked the question or maybe that question just hasn't been addressed properly, but the landfill, the process at our county landfill and the magnitude of the stuff we deal with out there it's just big. It's a big issue. And the staff, county staff, do a great job. We have one of the best landfills I've ever visited, by the way.
Right.
It's managed well, it looks well, it's clean. I go out there quite often. So anyway, this committee is not here to direct staff in any particular direction. This committee is to facilitate with the community what they want to see their county, what direction they want to see their county go in the future as it relates to solid waste. And that's what I hope to facilitate through these public meetings, these brainstorming sessions, and then we'll take those ideas and we'll take them to our workshops, our committee workshops, and we'll work on that. And I would like everyone to know that all these workshops and those committee meetings, those outreach meetings are public meetings, and I invite everyone to come.
Great.
We
will make sure that we advertise those on our webpage and that we let people know. Certainly, we can try to televise some of these meetings. Sometimes we can't televise all of our committee meetings because we have so many of them. I mean, the same with the outreach meetings. It's hard for us to televise some at remote locations. Right. But we'll try to include some of it on our county network so that people have some idea of where the conversation is going. If they can't come to a meeting, they could catch up a little bit. And we can also put out the ability for people to comment through the web page. We did that through the transition team and actually received quite a bit of input. And we can do a survey as well. And so we have some ability to use social media to help support gathering that public input.
Great.
So
look forward to it.
I look forward to it too, and I want to thank you for volunteering and stepping up to lead this process.
This is not a paying job.
No, we have all volunteer committees, and so, but I hope that the public will get engaged and participate, and that we'll have a really great public process. So
thank you so much for your trust in my ability to lead this committee. I really appreciate that.
So
thank you so much.
I think you're the perfect person. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us today. So stay tuned for the brainstorming outreach sessions that are going to be coming to your part of the county soon. And you can always keep in contact with us through the county webpage. I hope you learned a lot today about solid waste.